I'll tell you straight up. Nothing, and I mean nothing, prepares you for the sight of your home crushed flat. The air still carrying that bitter, burnt smell, while some guy laughs and tells you to. Go ahead and sue us, old man. Yeah, that happened. That was the exact moment I realized just how wrong things had gone. How far people would go when they thought nobody could stop them. But you know what? They didn't know me. Not really. And by the end of this story, they wished they had. Let me back up a sec. I didn't always live out here, nestled so far into the pines that sell. Service was more rumor than fact. For 2 decades, I worked fraud cases for the Clark County Sheriff's Department. 20 years of liars and cheats, of bureaucrats shuffling paper and patting themselves on the back, all while the real work chewed you up. And when it finally spit me out, retired badge, empty desk, handshake that meant less than nothing, I told myself, find a place nobody can reach you. So I did. This old A-frame up on Redwood Creek, with a deed cleaner than most people's consciences, a cabin that smelled like sap and cold stone, and the kind of quiet that feels like a reset button. First day there, man, I thought I'd made it. Sun cutting through the pines, air crisp enough to taste, not a neighbor or clipboard in sight. Maybe I'll finally write that damn book. I remember thinking. But peace doesn't last when someone with a shiny badge and too much free time gets it in their head that you don't belong. Second trip out, I'm barely off the main road. Coffee steaming in my hand, when this white SUV cuts me off. Out steps a guy in a uniform so stiff it looked like it could walk on its own, mirrored sunglasses, the whole tough guy routine. He doesn't say hello, just, "Sir, may I see your resident permit?" Not "good morning." Not even "hey." Now, I'd seen enough of these HOA rent-a-cops in my time, so I do what comes natural. I watch his hands. No gun, just a radio, flashlight, a little can of pepper spray. Threat level, Chihuahua. He wants to see my paperwork. So I hand him my deed. He flips it over, looking for a loophole. Spoiler alert, there isn't one. He hands it back with a jaw so tight it might snap and mutters, "This will be noted." Noted by who? He doesn't answer. Just memorizes my plates, climbs back in his SUV, and rolls off at about 3 miles an hour, eyes burning holes in my rear view. Next morning, there's a piece of paper tucked under my wiper. No letterhead, no signature, just unauthorized. Structures are subject to community review. Community. Their community ends a mile before my land even starts, but intimidation's got a way of ignoring boundaries. You know what I mean? I didn't freak out. Bullies always escalate. They have to, otherwise the bluff falls flat. But I started paying attention, really paying attention. Checked the boundary rods. Old steel, solid as ever. Hammered deep decades ago. No mistakes. No gray area. They knew it, too. So why all the pressure? Why the veiled threats? That's when things got weird. I find a cigarette, but near my tree lean. Marlboro Red, the cheap kind. Not what these HOA folks smoke. More like the muscle you pay by the hour. Soil's disturbed, still fresh. Someone had been standing there, watching the cabin. Watching me. Couple days later, while I'm patching a window screen, a black pickup slides up the drive, tinted windows, engine idling like it's waiting to pounce. It just sits there, humming. So, I lift my phone, point it at the plates, don't even take a picture. The truck peels out, gone in a spray of gravel. Testing me, seeing if I'm going to roll over. They weren't ready for someone like me. So I got proactive. Dug a little gadget out of my glove box, a motion camera, hidden in a fake bird's nest. Mounted it up under the rafters, out of sight unless you know exactly where to look. Bit of insurance. Because when you've worked as many cases as I have, you stop believing in coincidence. By the next visit, a new notice waited on my windshield. Failure to comply may result in enforcement actions. There's that word, enforcement. Every bully uses it eventually, tries to wrap their threats in procedure, like it's all just business. But out here, business can get ugly fast. Days passed, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something big was brewing. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't shake the old detective itch. So I camped out at the cabin overnight. Fog wrapped the road. So thick the headlights made tunnels in it. Not a sound. Not even the wind. I sat on the porch with the lights off, sipping coffee, letting my eyes adjust to the dark. Around midnight, I heard a branch snap, then footsteps, slow, measured. Someone was out there. Then, just a glimmer, a phone screen, maybe. They watched me watch them. Didn't run, didn't speak, just melted back into the trees. And just like that, I knew. This wasn't intimidation. This was reconnaissance. They were planning something big. I wish I could say I was surprised by what happened next. I left for town early, just to grab some hardware, some coffee. 30 minutes tops. But while I was buying screws and thinking about breakfast, they made their move. I came around the last bend, and the mountain felt wrong, like it was holding its breath. My tires hit the clearing, and my cabin was gone. Not broken, not burned, gone. Bulldozer tracks everywhere. Foundation ripped out. Smoke hanging over the wreck like a ghost that couldn't decide where to land. My 20-year service watch was lying in the mud, the one thing they didn't smash, at least not until the dozer rolled forward and, right in front of me, crushed it to powder. The operator just grinned and hollered, "Go ahead and sue us, old man." Like he'd won something. Like I was just going to slink away. But if they'd known my history, they might have thought twice. I walked right up, pulled out my phone, and started taking pictures. The workers froze, except the foreman, who kept his eyes down, clutching a manila folder like it might save him. I asked who authorized the demo. He muttered something about property compliance. Gave up the paperwork quick when I didn't blink. It was a joke, a forgery, all wrong. Fake seals, a plat map that didn't match county records, and a signature from their president, Veronica Hale. Arrogance, right out in the open. I documented every angle, every truck plate, every footprint in the mud. Because evidence talks, and the truth always bubbles up, even when people do their best to bury it. One of the guys finally caved, said the HOA. Gave them access, told them everything was cleared. That was the crack I needed. I told them to get out, or I'd have them trespassed so hard they'd feel it in court for a decade. 10 minutes later, the lot was empty except for me, my crushed watch, and the kind of silence you only hear after a bomb drops. I walked the perimeter, looking for answers. Found a strip of HOA caution tape. A muddy boot pivot right where someone had turned too fast, probably heard my truck and panicked. But the big clue was on the demolition order, a faint digital timestamp, hours old. Meaning someone had faked the docs that morning. Sloppy work, desperate work. Next stop, the HOA office. Sat across the street, watching them scurry around like nothing was wrong. Then a silver Lexus pulled in. Out stepped Veronica herself, phone glued to her ear, looking every bit the queen bee. And yeah, I caught enough of her conversation to hear. We have to secure the ridge first, or the bonus goes away. Bonus. Developer deadline. Not about safety, not about community. It was about money, the kind that makes honest people do stupid things. While I'm sitting there, a woman slides up to my truck, folder clutched to her chest like it might bite. She's scared. Tells me her name's Melissa, hands me documents, meeting notes, emails, internal maps. They crossed a line, she whispers. And inside those pages, I find the gold. Plans to erase my parcel, folded into the HOA for a $2 million payout. Do whatever's necessary, they wrote. Yeah, that included bulldozing my life when I wasn't looking. Melissa's hands are shaking. She says she didn't sign up for this. Just thought she was helping with some zoning cleanup. Not demolition. Not forgery. Not criminal conspiracy. I told her the truth. She's a witness now, and her evidence might just bring this whole thing down. I didn't run straight to the sheriff. No, I went to work. Used an old badge, Comcast Regional Systems, picked up from a fraud case years ago, walked right into the HOA office, installed a little relay in their server room. Gave me a live feed of their panicked emails as soon as I got back to my laptop. And oh, did the panic flow? Did anyone authorize an ISP tech visit? If not, check the cameras. Too bad I'd unplugged their camera to make room for my relay. Oops. The internal docs were everything I hoped. Forged maps, payment promises, memos about bulldozing outlier parcels before anyone noticed. That was enough to make a case. But I wanted more. I emailed the whole board from a burner account. You're being set up. Meet me tonight if you want to talk. One guy actually showed. Scared, sweating, swearing he only did what Veronica told him, that she'd throw everyone under the bus to save herself. He gave me a confession, start to finish. Every threat, every forged doc, every order. When he left, I had a whistleblower, a confessor, and a smoking gun. All in one day. That night, as I drove back up the mountain, I noticed a black truck tailing me. No headlights. Two guys, trying to look tough, sent to scare me off. I didn't run. Instead, I led them down a dead-end road, let them think they had me trapped. Then I triggered the flashing lights I'd rigged on the trees, made them think cops were everywhere. The tough guy cracked. The second guy nearly jumped out of his boots. I just told them to deliver a message. Tell Veronica that sending amateurs only proves how scared she's become. The next morning was the big show. Redwood Crest's quarterly meeting, packed with residents, all pastel sweaters and worried glances. Veronica tried to bluff through it, clicking through slides about community development and responsible stewardship. I waited until she lied, said everything was legal. Then I stood up, made sure the room was listening, and played the audio from her own internal meeting. Erase the outlier parcels. Get the dozer in before anyone files complaints. You could hear the gasp echo off the glass. I flipped to the forged demolition order, the timestamp. Melissa's memo. The room turned on Veronica in seconds. Her face went from smug to terrified. "You have no authority here," she hissed. So, I set my badge on the podium. Captain Michael Rivera, Fraud Division, Clark County Sheriff's Department. The deputies walked in like a curtain dropping, warrants in hand. Veronica tried to run, but the show was over. Days later, the whole house of cards came tumbling down. The contractor folded, admitted everything. The board members resigned. Some tried to pin it on each other, but nobody bought it. The DA froze their funds, seized their files. The county started a full audit. The developer backed out. Redwood Crest HOA was dissolved by court order. Their sign came down in front of a crowd. Some cheered, some cried. Most just watched in awe. An old man clapped me on the shoulder. Never thought it'd fall. Didn't fall, I told him. It collapsed under its own lies. Months went by. The insurance paid out. The civil suit brought enough to rebuild. I did it slow, by hand. Every board and nail a reminder of why I fought. Put up a sign, private property, enter at your own risk, just so nobody forgot. Mounted 2 cameras. Out of habit, not fear. Now, when I sit on that porch with the creek rumbling and the sun setting over the pines, I finally feel something like peace. Not silence, stillness. The kind you earn when you stand your ground and outlast the storm. So let me ask you, when does justice feel real? When the sirens fade, or when you build something new where the ashes fell? Did the law win, or did we just get lucky that people finally paid attention? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me, what does justice mean to you? Have you ever fought a battle nobody believed? And but you? Let's hear your story. Because in the end, justice only works if we all decide to stand up when the bullies come knocking. And out here, that's the only law that matters.